So, hello everyone, welcome to CSQ Meetup. So, today we all gather here on a weekend, so which means we are interested in the learning a new stuff. Today, I'm going to walk through what is a exploratory testing and context-driven testing. So, before I shall begin, let me give a quick intro of myself. So, I have started my journey in 2026. Uh, and in the initial phase, I got a chance to learn with the well-known testers and well-known testing communities. Apart from this, I have worked on the various domains and functional testing, automation testing, and I have explored on the security testing as well. I would say I enjoy testing. I love to help people, and whenever I get a free time, by that time I connect fun with the testing. So I'm creating the memes on testing. So I guess we shall begin. So today, agenda of my talk is we are going to discuss on the exploratory testing, why we need to perform the exploratory testing, and how we can connect with the context-driven testing. Apart from that, we are going to discuss from where can we start and what are the approach we need to follow and what are the steps we need to follow. And we are going to discuss about the few myths of the exploratory testing. We are living in a age of automation. Most of the people are discussing about in automation we don't need to know testing concept, it is not at all required. But today I am going to demonstrate how we can relate exploratory testing and context driven testing inside the automation or any other area in the testing. And we are going to discuss how we can add value into testing, how we can add business value, and we need to collaborate with the developers as well to do a concrete testing. So here, first question comes in my mind, what is exploratory testing? So here, this is a Wikipedia definition. We can see here it is showing simultaneous learning. So whenever we are going to perform the exploratory testing, which means we are learning something and then we are doing something. If we go to the Google and we'll search about the what is exploratory testing, by that time we'll get to know people are sharing their own thoughts. They are sharing some definitions. Some people are saying whenever we don't have a requirement, by that time we need to explore the application and we need to test the application. So what I would say, for example, I don't have requirement and I want to perform the exploratory testing. By the time, what I can do, for example, I'm going to test login functionality. I will go to the Google and I will search how to test login functionality. I will get a hell lot of test ideas, and I can search login functionality. So does it exploratory testing? I can say no. Other side, people are saying if we have requirement, in that case we can stick to the requirement. We should stick to the requirement and we cannot perform exploratory testing, right? But we have requirement. In requirement it has mentioned, for example, I am missing the email ID field, it should throw some error with the meaningful message. So whatever it has written, I am performing the steps and I am testing product. So this can be done by anyone, product manager or some non-technical guy. Even if I go to the some kids, they can read the certain instruction and they can perform the steps. So does it for exploratory testing? I don't think so. So there is a much more area. We need to explore the application and we need to do deep dive into the testing. So that is called exploratory testing, what I would say. Now there is one more concept, which is context driven testing. So now what I would say, we are going to mix exploratory testing and context driven testing. So in context driven testing, we need to understand the application. For example, which application we are going to work on. Let's say we are working on a banking application or some CMS tool. So in that case, application is for a limited audience. User are limited. For banking application, only bankers are going to use those applications. So in that case, product manager or whichever company is developing the product, they can give certain KT or how to use the product. So that product will be a complex. Definitely, it will be a complex, and they will have some fair idea. Okay, this is how we are going to use those applications. So there is a one context of the limited set of the customer. Another side, we have multiple e-commerce platform, wallets, WhatsApp, Facebook. We are using day to day many applications. For example, we are taking the example of WhatsApp. So WhatsApp, all the people are using the WhatsApp. chai wala is using WhatsApp, vegetable guy is using WhatsApp, doctor, engineers. We all are using the WhatsApp, which means WhatsApp should be easily understandable. If anyone is using the WhatsApp, then definitely it should not be a complex. So we need to understand the context of the application. And one more area we can add here, using which functionality company is generating the revenue. So we need to understand that area as well. So I would say if we are going to add exploratory testing and context driven testing, it will be a magic. Now the question comes how we can start the exploratory testing. There should be some entry points. So I have segregated into three parts. One is a muddy water concept, another is river concept, and another last is a sea concept. So in muddy water concept, what we are doing, we are testing application in a shallow area. In sea concept, we are going deeper and deeper, deeper and deeper. And in river concept, we need to do the concrete testing, but it is not required to go that much deeper. We can decide based on the functionality, based on the context, based on the feature, which functionality is adding the revenue to the product and which is a critical functionality. If it is matching that fulfill the criteria, then we can go with the sea concept. Otherwise, we'll go with the muddy concept, muddy water concept or nala concept. So I'll take an example of muddy water concept. We can say we have a settings or help sections. There are few sections we can just verify data is coming or not, and testing will be done. No need to go much and much deeper. For in other side, we can take one more example of third-party tools. So let's say I have built the application and I'm going to use a third-party plugin for a video player. So video player in my application, my tester, no need to test that functionality because third party company who has developed the video plugin, video player plugin, they have already tested and they are making revenue, they are generating the revenue and they have already tested. So no need to test that functionality. I just need to test the integration. If integration is fine, then I can move forward. Now we are going to take an example of the river concept. So let me go to the Facebook. So here, for example, let's say we are going to test mutual friend functionality. So this is my profile. I cannot see here mutual friend, but if I go to the someone's profile, I can see mutual friend. Okay, so here there is a list of mutual friend. It is showing 149 mutual friend I am having with the Nandesh. So for example, we need to test this functionality. So how we can test this functionality? So first question comes in my mind. For example, we can test feature is visible. It is showing a number. That is the basic checks. If we are going to automate this functionality, then we can inspect the element, we'll get this text, and out of this text, we can fetch the integer value and we can verify. Okay, 149 mutual friend is showing. But the question comes here, whether it is correct or not. How can I validate that? So for that, I have explained we need to collaborate with the developer. But before that, we need to explore something. We need to start exploring. We need to start learning. We need to think on it, how we can get that value. For example, suppose I want to test the mutual friend, what I can do. So here, there is a simple solution. What I can think of, it is I need to get a friend list from friends from my profile. For example, I am having 99 around 1000 friends, so I can add all the 1000 friends into a list. Then I will get all these friends, whatever friends this profile is having. So for example, there are 1500 friends, so I will have two separate lists, A list and B list, and after that I will get the intersection. And what are the unique values I will get? That is mutual friend. Pretty straightforward, right? Hold on, there is one problem. For example, I am having a one friend which is Ravi, and Nandi is also having a one friend which is Ravi. So if I'm going to make an intersection and I'm going to find a unique value, so I will get that name Ravi. But there are in this world there are many people with the same name. So I may be wrong. So I need to go much deeper, much down layer. So what I can think of is With each and every profile there is a unique id which is called a profile id, or there should be something, some key for particular profile. So I need to get the data from the db or api, wherever I'm getting the data. And from this I need to make a list, and I have to add, instead of the name I need to add this particular key. So in this case I will get the unique test data. I have a unique test, unique to list, and I will get the intersection. So this is the easy and concrete way. For example, now we have performed the exploratory testing, functional testing is done. Now we need to automate this scenario. So we can easily automate this scenario as well. So for automation, what we need to do, we need to get the data from the, both the user, data from DB, or we are getting data from the API. So we need to hit these things. After that, we need to create a two separate list, A list and B list. After that, we need to find the intersection. Once we get the intersection, we have a count. So we can store in a variable somewhere. After that, whenever we are going to test this, we need to go to the in many automation script. We need to go to particular profile. We need to find this string, and we need to find the number. So we have mutual friend number here. After that, we need to assert variable and mutual friend number. So this will be my concrete test. So I can confidently say whatever I have tested, it is a concrete. Now I have one more question. Why this concept is a river concept? Why that is not much deep concept? So I can say mutual friend is not adding any revenue to the Facebook. Whatever I am thinking, I can create a tool list and developer has implemented in the same format. But it might be developer has used some other collection, or they have used some data structure. It might be different, but whatever I'm getting the correct value, and I'm satisfied with my test, and I'm satisfied with my concrete result. But Facebook is not at all generating the revenue, and it gives me the happiness. For example, it is showing 149, but instead of that it is showing 200. How can I manually test it? As a user I cannot verify, because Nandi says hide his friends. So I cannot at all verify. I just get a happiness. Okay, I'm getting 149 mutual friends. So that's why I'm calling as a river concept. Now we are moving into C concept. So what is a C concept? We need to decide, we need to combine both the expert testing and context driven testing, and we need to decide the functionality is adding a revenue or not. If it is adding a revenue, then we need to jump into the deep dive. So let's take an example of the Flipkart. So here I'm going to Flipkart and I'm going to search particular product. For example, let's say iPhone 11. Sorry, all the phones are sold. Let me take another example. Yes, iPhone 11. So we are in the iPhone 11 page, and we can see here there is a one feature, beautiful feature, which is frequently bought together. So which means Flipkart is showing us suggestions. Now, why this feature is important? Because whenever user comes to this page, they are intent to buy a particular product, iPhone XR. For example, 1,000 people are coming on this page. Out of 1,000 people, they are exploring entire page. They will see the discounts, offer, specification of the product, and it has extra something. So whenever it users see this section frequently bought together, and maybe they are providing some extra discounts, so indirectly, Flipkart is selling product to the customer. For example, out of the 1,000 people, 500 people or 400 people are purchasing this product. So indirectly, Flipkart is generating the revenue. So now I understood it is an important product. Somehow they are generating, indirectly they are generating the revenue, and they are user is happy to buy this product, because whenever we are going to purchase a costly phone, by that time for some protection we are going with the back cover, tempered glass, this. Okay, so now the question comes, how we can do the deep dive into this feature. So we have completed edge cases, ordering the phone after canceling the phone, and we are separately ordering this two product. I'm getting the discount if it is there is some discount. But the now thing is, this iPhone product is from some other seller, and this is the Flipkart product. So now we can see this is the Flipkart product, and Flipkart is selling their product with some seller's product. So indirectly, Flipkart is selling their own product. So we need to understand this product is available in the repository or in the stock or not. If this product is not available, then here there should be a blank section or some other product should be displayed. And why this particular product is coming. So I cannot think of the algorithm how developer has developed. That's why we need to collaborate with the development team and we need to understand how they are implementing internal logic. There can be multiple brands, multiple price range. For example, Flipkart also having a price range which is starting from the 100 to 10,000 rupees back cover. So user is not going to buy 10,000 rupees cover and they are not going to go for the low quality. So they have defined some range of the quality. They have defined some product. So based on that, we need to understand the functionality product. We need to talk with the developer, and then we have to go into deep dive. So this is how C concept work. Now, uh, we think I have you should have questions. Okay, I have discussed on the functional testing, but how I can implement on the automation part. Okay, so recently I did one survey. In that survey, I have raised a question: can TestNG parallel execution reduce automation script timeout, automation script execution time? So out of 153 people, 89 people is saying yeah, voted yes, and 11% people has voted no. So this is the LinkedIn survey, and in Facebook I did another survey. So here 40 people are saying yes, 3 people doesn't have any idea, and few of them are saying no, which means we need to do some analysis on this. There is a certain, there is a room. We can understand this product, we can understand this functionality. Now question comes, this is not generating the revenue or anything. So then why I should go with the exploratory testing of this automation part or functionality? And TestNG has already developed this methods or parallel execution functionality, then why we need to test? So we are not going to test the TestNG because they have provided, and most of the testers are using the TestNG, which means it is correct. Now question comes, whenever we are enhancing the product, we are building a framework, then there is some rules are there. We are enhancing the product quality, we are enhancing the framework quality. So in that case, we need to think about whatever we have implemented, whatever tester has written the code, it is correct or not. So can you vote for me if it is really updating or not? Can you write in the chat section? Yes or no? Any inputs from you guys? Is it really? Yes, I got few inputs. Yes. So people are saying it is reducing the script execution time. So let me do the small quick experiment. So I have few TestNG class created, and I have used TestNG documentation to do this. So I have few test methods. In each test method I am adding the print statement. I have each class, I have 5 test methods, and I am printing the thread id, thread.current thread.thread id. I have similar, I have 5 classes, and I have parallel testng.xml file. So if anyone can verify if whatever I have developed is correct or not. So you can see here I have similar 5 class and I have testng.xml5. So if I want to execute in the parallel execution, so I have to give only 5 thread, and it should run in the parallel thread. I will get the thread ID as well. So whatever I have implemented, which is correct or not, can I get few inputs from the audience? I just pause for the 1 minute. I
Brijesh
will,
is saying yes.
okay.
Okay, any other input?
Okay,
Yeah.
so let me pause here. Let me execute the script. So I have developed the script and I am running parallelly. So initially I am going with the 5 threads. So I'm running my script. So all the threads will execute in parallel mode. So I'm running my code and I am getting here different thread ID. So here we can see example 5, example 4. All the examples are running. There are total 25 class. 25 methods. I have 5 classes and each class is having a 5 methods. So I can see there are different thread IDs. For it is starting from the 10, 11, 12, 13 and 14. So we can see it is running in the parallel and we are getting the 5 different thread ID. Now if I am trying for the 3, so I will get 3 different thread ID. So if I go, it is showing 10, 11 and 12. There is only 3 numbers, 10, 11 and 12. Now the question comes, it is really improving the automation execution time or not? Okay, so let me rerun for the 5 thread. Yes. So if we go to the execution section, it is showing 1.74 seconds for 5 parallel threads. So let me add somewhere, let me write, so we will have figure out later. Now I'm going to execute for the 3 threads. I have completed execution. It is showing everything is passed and time is, I'm getting this time. So let me note it down. Let me execute in single thread. Okay, so it is running, it is completed and let me get the time. Copy. Yes. So first is 5 thread, second is 3 and third one is for 1 thread. So here we can see 1 thread it is taking a less time, which is 0.0146 milliseconds, and 5 thread it is taking more time as compared to the 1, which is 0.174 seconds, which means there is something wrong, right? But what is wrong here? I have used I have used TestNG documentation and whatever they have used, I have implemented the same things. I did not change anything. But why still it is wrong? So here there are two different things we need to understand before we are jumping into new things. For example, multi-threading. So multi-threading is a vastly used concept. Nowadays we are living in a world of high-end technologies. We are having a phone with the multi-core processor, octa-core processor, 12-core processor. We are having a multiple cores in our systems or machine. So which means before jumping into this, we need to understand what is a multi-threading and what is a parallel programming. So I would say parallel programming is whatever we are executing into the one core, into the multiple cores. So I have 4 cores. For example, core A, core B, C, and D. So I'm running parallelly in all the cores. So one thread is running for in core A, one thread is running in core B. So like that, it is called a parallel computing or parallel processing. Now the questions come: what is a multi-threading? So multi-threading means we are running in the same core but multi-threads. So for example, I take an example in a generic way. So there are two friends. One, both the friend has to reach Delhi, and both are starting from the different place. One is starting from the Ahmedabad, and one is starting from the Bangalore. And they have decided to meet in some middle point, which is Mumbai. So now, as compared to the distance, Ahmedabad guy will reach early, and Bangalore guy will take a time. So what Ahmedabad guy will do? He will give a little pause And after that, once Bangalore guy reach there, they will connect, they will have a lunch or dinner, and they will start their journey for to Delhi together. So this is how threads work in real time. We need to understand in real time how people are using the multi-threads, or how developers are using the multiple threads, because test engine has provided the documentation and they have implemented very well feature, but we are not going to achieve parallel execution time. So we need to jump into that why developers are using the multi-threading. So for example, we have sent the amount to some friends, or we have purchased something from the Paytm, or we have done some recharge. So for example, I'm using phone pay application and I'm sending money to the somebody, sorry, I'm using Domino's pizza application and I'm ordering the pizza. So there will be 4 or 5 payment methods: credit card, debit card, UPI. Nowadays we are learning living UPI is there. So for example, API, Domino's Pizza is sending a request to the phone pay. So suppose I'm going with the UPI payment. By that time, they are giving 2.5 seconds or 2.5 minutes or 3 minutes some time. So in meanwhile, what they are doing, they are running one thread for Domino's Pizza, and they are waiting from UPI or phone pay application to give some data. So that's why they are using multi-threading. So here we are not, my all the threads are independent. So this is, we are not fulfilling the first condition of multi-thread threading. So that's why we are not getting desired outcome. So we need to understand whatever we are doing, no parallel should be on test. Okay, so we have same scenario for the parallel for the test. So I have created a separate methods and I'm running 5 threads. Yeah, so it has completed 5 thread and I will get some execution time, which is 0.076 seconds. And we can see if it is fulfilling the, I'm getting the desired outcome. One was 0.076 and this is the 0.018, which is still lesser as compared to the multi-threading. So now with that, I'm moving into the last phase, which is a mindset. So initially, whenever we have started or we came into the testing field, by that time we are living in the should be mindset. We are doing whatever with the should be mindset. User has entered valid username and password, so I should able to the login, or I am not able to the login. I want even after entering the valid data. So we are living in a should be mindset. So we have to come out from the should be mindset and we have to develop the can be mindset. Why? Because we need to go to the each and every area of the application and we need to explore the application. There can be chance of the failure or there cannot be a chance. This is how security testers working. They are day and night, they are working on some feature and they are finding the loopholes. There there can be chance of the loophole, there cannot be a chance. So we need to develop this mindset. With that, I'm moving into the last part, which is the takeaway. So in this section, what we have learned in this talk, what we have understand. So we need to define the certain goals we are going to perform with the exploratory testing. We cannot jump into the any concept, or we before that we need to understand the application functionality, from which functionality company is generating the revenue. So we need to understand. If we are not able to understand particular functionality, then we have to collaborate with the development team or some other team, and we need to grasp the knowledge, product knowledge before, because without product knowledge it is difficult, or we cannot confidently say, yeah bro, I have raised the bug and it should be a valid. It cannot be a valid. And using this, how we are generating the revenue or how we are adding the value to the business, we have to develop the mindset. Should be, can be, there are different mindset. And with this, if we perform the entire process, then whatever we are performing, the functional testing or security testing, automation testing, tester and product both should be QA tested. Thank you so much for this. I am wrapping my session. If you have any question, feel free to ask me a question. I will be happy to answer.
All right. Yeah. Thank you, Nishant, for your wonderful session. And you have related the testing with real world object. That was really cool. So yeah, all the participants, do you have any question?
I just go to the chat section.
Okay. Maulik has one question. Do you have any reference for checklist?
Yeah, so we can create a reference or checklist. So I can share with the Silas. I have certain checklist created for the web application, mobile applications. And checklist, why I am referring my own checklist? Because suppose I am jumping into one functionality and I have to do the deep dives, and definitely it is going to take a time. So if I have a checklist, I have certain feature already tested, and I have an idea how we are going to test certain features. So we no need to we are not going to waste much time if we have a checklist. So yeah, I'm referring one checklist, and I'll share with the sellers.
All right. Yeah. Thanks a lot, Nishant. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, any other questions?
Any other question? I think everyone is clear with the concept because you have explained the thing so nicely and with the fun. So yeah, it was good.
Okay, okay,
Yeah,
thank you
thanks a
so.
lot. Yeah.
There is one question I can see.
Yeah.
Is it required documentation while performing exploratory testing? And if yes, then how we can perform the exploratory testing? Yeah. So I have explained exploratory testing. Yeah, it can require test document, or without that also we can jump into exploratory testing. So what I was trying to connect is, for example, we have documentation, so it has some certain instruction how we are going to follow the instruction. For example, login field, so we have there is some conditions 6 through 32 character, and all this we have. So based on we can test the functionality, but there are some standard instruction. For example, we are testing on the email field, so there should be standard which is 255 character. So I should, as a tester, I should have all this criteria in my mind if I don't have a requirement documentation, or if I have. So if I have, then definitely we should follow, otherwise we can go with the standards. Any ideas or tools to come up with the exploratory testing? No, so there are no particular tools. We need to explore the application, and we have to use dev tools. We need to go through the logs and how developer has implemented the code. We need to understand. So that's why I had this concept: manual testing and automation testing. There is nothing called manual testing. Yeah, I think there
I
is.
think, yeah.